fall 2022 anime season has finally wrapped up. I wanted to give you guys my top 5 shows that I highly recommend you watch and toss in a couple of honorable mentions in there as well. I have 3 honorable mentions, and the first one is going to be Spy Family. Now, Spy Family Part 2 came out in the fall. Part 1 was in the spring, so we had a little break there in the summer, but it wrapped up in the fall. And if you didn't know, Spy Family is getting a Season 2 and a movie as well, which is going to be freaking awesome. So pretty much in part 2, like Anya's already successfully enrolled in the school. They're on the second phase of Operation Strix, and they're trying to figure out, do we try to go for the Stellas? Do we go on the friend route? And there's plenty of arcs in there. Like they end up getting the dog. Lloyd and Yor have like, I guess like a cute moment there at the end where she gets it absolutely sauced. It's hilarious, but there's plenty of stuff with the show to absolutely love, and I really have no problems with it. Honestly, I think I gave part 2 an 8 out of 10 versus part 1, which I gave a 9 out of 10, but still, like, there's a great amount of just action and comedy and even a little bit of romance as well, so there's nothing to hate about this show. That's why I put it at the honorable mention. My next honorable mention is going to be The Eminence in Shadow, and honestly, I would have put this one in my top 5, but it's actually going to be continuing into the winter 2023 season, so I'm going to hold off and give, I guess, like my final review whenever winter 2023 wraps up or when the show wraps up or whatever. We still have like 7 more episodes to go at this point at the time of this recording, so pretty much, if you don't know, I'm going to read like a little bit of synopsis, but pretty much our main character here has been fixated on becoming as strong as possible in our world, and it leads him to a bunch of rigorous training. And in the show, he actually like takes down like a military guy who ends up kidnapping a girl at his school. But he realizes that, you know, the stronger he gets, he won't be able to stop something like a nuclear bomb. Like, obviously, this is reality. Like, they could send a bunch of people after him. If he's only using crowbars and even just, you know, small arms fire, he's not going to win. So he ends up dying. And it's like, oh, okay. In that first episode, you're like, I thought this was an isekai. Well, that's where this kicks in. So he gets reincarnated as a second child of a noble family where magic is commonplace. And so with that power, he thinks, you know what, now I can actually establish this shadow organization that works behind the scenes to stop basically stuff that's going to mess up society, whether it's good or bad. So he dons the name Shadow and creates Shadow Garden, which its whole sole purpose is to combat the cult of Diablos, which he thought was a joke at first, but it turns out it's real now that we're this far into it. And so Shadow Garden grows, he grows up, he's going to school, and pretty much a bunch of stuff happens, but he's been undercover this whole time. He's pretty much the Chinibyo Batman of this world. And if you like an isekai, an overpowered MC, a little bit of comedy tossed in there, this show is for you.
I am Atomic.
Now, my third honorable mention is going to be Reincarnated as a Sword. Yes, weird title, but also I had to watch it just because of that. And I went into it with like no expectations, but it honestly ended up being like a pretty good, I would say, just isekai fantasy. The only isekai is like the beginning part. Like, obviously, you know, the synopsis of the show, you know, guy gets reincarnated as a sword in a forest. He has power of telekinesis, and the farther he moves out, the stronger the monsters become. So he ends up defeating a bunch of monsters, gaining levels for himself as the sword, and he actually acquires any of those skills from the monsters he kills. But one day he ends up getting stuck, and after X amount of time, I don't want to ruin too much for you, but he ends up meeting a girl running from a beast, and she ends up grabbing the sword and using it to defeat the monster. Her name is Fran. She is our main character. She ends up calling him teacher throughout the series because he's like teaching her how to use magic and these skills, and he can actually transfer skills over to her. So the best thing they can do is become adventurers. Very typical fantasy story, but she is a member of the Black Cat tribe who cannot evolve no matter how hard they try. And so Fran's trying to complete this dream that her parents tried to do, because both her parents were adventurers, and they go through so much. This show is a great adventure. It's great comedy, and at some points you can get very frustrated at the show, trust me, but it ends up being super worth it. Like, yes, she's OP, but not OP enough to like take down the whole world. She's just OP enough to whip some awesome monster butt, but she meets a lot of people along the way, and that last episode, bro, was so good. You actually get a very good insight about Fran's parents and, you know, what happened and how many people they actually influenced, which was great. Now let's get into my top 5. So at the number 5 spot, I have Akiba Maid War. You're like, David, that title sounds weird. It sounds like it's going to be all cutesy and about maids, and the war's not actually going to be like any violence. Well, let me break it to you. There's definitely violence. So let me just give you the synopsis, okay? Our main character, Nagami, has always wanted to be a maid, and so she goes to Akiba to fulfill her dream and works at the Oinky Doink Cafe. Yes, it's about pigs, whatever. Doesn't matter. In any event, her first day seems completely normal through that first episode. She's doing typical maid stuff. She's learning, all this other stuff. Then she has to go run an errand at a rival maid cafe. And another member goes with her, Ronco, and things go pretty south pretty quickly, and you're like, okay, what the heck is happening? And instead of them just like walking away from it all normal, Ronco walks in and starts blasting. So that's when the show turns absolutely violent. This stuff was absolutely insane. Think of literally gang wars, or like the Yakuza maid factions, I guess, is probably like the best way to put it. Like, they're all fighting. There's money involved. There's like this big maid corporation involved. It's absolutely crazy. It's placed in the 90s, and my first thought is, right when I started watching it, and once you hear the ending theme, if you decide to watch this, it gave me Quentin Tarantino vibes. So if you like Quentin Tarantino, this anime is probably the closest one that you're going to get to something of that nature. And the music is great. The characters are great. I had no complaints about the show. It was so wild. So that's why I'm putting him at number 5. At my number 4 spot, and rightfully so, is Mob Psycho 100 Season 3. Again, Mob Psycho is over. The anime is done. This was it. This was the ending. If you have not watched Mob Psycho, it is a great action supernatural comedy. Go watch it. But the synopsis for Season 3 is pretty much after foiling like the world-threatening plot of the end of Season 2. Again, I don't want to ruin too much for you. He goes through a bunch of arcs, figuring out the broccoli tree with Dimple and all this other stuff, it becoming sentient. I don't know, dude. There was so much going on. There was aliens this season too. I was like, what the hell is actually going on? In that final arc, talking about like Bob's dark side. Oh, that was so freaking dope, man. But pretty much, this show had such a solid wrap up. I had no complaints about it. And it's at my number 4. Rightfully so. I really don't have a lot of complaints about the show. If you have not watched Mob Psycho, it's from the creators of One Punch Man as well, so it has like similar animation. The animation is like different from, I would say, like mainstream anime, but again, highly recommend watching Mob Psycho. It's a classic.
One and only one.
At my number 3 spot, I have More Than a Married Couple, But Not Lovers. This show, the title threw me off, but a lot of people are hyping it up, and honestly, it deserves a hype. It is such a good rom-com. Romance comedy. It's such a roller coaster though. But it's synopsis: third-year student, high school student, Jiro is in love with his childhood friend Shiori, and he hopes to be paired with her for their marriage practical, which the school basically randomly pairs up, boy and girl pairs, and they pretend to live as married couples while they're monitored. They get ratings, all this other stuff, right? Meanwhile, Akari wants to be assigned to her crush, which is the popular guy at school, Minami. And so, much to their dismay, Jiro and Akari find out they've not only have been paired together, but so have Shiori and Minami. So pretty much the people that want to get with their other people, they get switched around. So that's pretty much what happens here. And determined to be with their crushes, they each want to get a really good rating, because once you hit A rank, you can actually switch partners with people. So keep that in mind. So the whole goal is for them to basically be like a really good married couple, so then they can switch. But throughout the series, it's very evident that Jiro's a little torn between his childhood friend and now Akari, who, you gotta watch this show. It is such a shit show of just romance comedy. You know what the first thing that the show reminded me of? My Dress Up Darling. It gave me that same vibe between Gojo and Marin. Like the same thing. The quiet, just maybe a little bit nerdy guy pairs up with the very outspoken, very extroverted gal. And so that's what it reminded me of. And let me tell you, the last episode had me freaking going crazy, dog. This show needs a season 2. I'm gonna need them to announce it right now. But it's at my number 3. Now, my number 2 spot, I have Chainsaw Man. No one's surprised here. Chainsaw Man this season has been just essentially what would be a cinematic masterpiece. In my opinion, the show is fantastic. If you have been sleeping under a rock, you don't know what Chainsaw Man, whether you're an anime, manga fan, or none of the above, I'll give you the synopsis. So Denji, who's our main character, is pretty much robbed of his teenage life because of the massive amount of debt his dad left him because he was pretty much a deadbeat. And so his only companion, his pet, Pochita, who is the Chainsaw Devil, again, it's right here. Look how cute he is. He's dope. But pretty much he slays other devils for money, for the Yakuza, so he can get paid and basically just not die. And so he dreams of a good, simple life, a girlfriend, touch some boobs, you know, typical guy stuff. But pretty much, since the Yakuza's greedy, they said, hey, we're going to kill you now. And so they pack him. They pack his shit. But, remarkably, an old contract allows Pochita to merge with Denji and bestow devil powers on him, turning into, I guess what would be like a hybrid, and can make certain parts of his body a chainsaw, since he is the Chainsaw Devil now. And so with his new abilities, pose a significant risk to society, the Public Safety Bureau's elite devil hunter Makima takes him in, letting him live as long as he obeys her commands. Guided by the promise of a content life alongside an attractive woman, Denji devotes everything and fights with all of his might to make his naive dreams a reality. Now, understand that Chainsaw Man is only 12 episodes, like season 1 or season 1 part 1. I'm not sure. They haven't really announced a season 2 or season 1 part 2, but where we end off, I'm not sure where it is in the manga, but I feel like we did not go very far from what I've seen and from what I've heard, but the show is fantastic. The way that Mappa did such a good job at animating this 2D and 3D. Like, you know, like some 3D animations, like really bad. This one is great. Opening theme, great. All the ending themes, by the way, all the endings are different because they're supposed to represent something different. All of them are gas. I have no complaints about that at all. The show is just action, comedy, definitely some heartbreak in there as well, because that's just how the show goes. Manga readers, do not spoil this. I am just in denial. Okay, let me stay like that. Let me be naive to what's about to happen. But Chainsaw Man, the season 1 or season 1 part 1, whatever it is, or whatever it's going to be, so good. All the characters are good. I got no complaints. Denji, Aki, Power, Himeno, best girl, by the way. You're not going to change my mind. Nope, not at all. Makima, I know what happens. She's okay right now. In any event, that's why Chainsaw Man's in my number 2. So well produced, in my opinion. And at my number 1 spot for fall anime 2022, to not a lot of people's surprise, but to my surprise, I'm going to put BOCCHI the Rock. And the reason I'm putting BOCCHI the Rock here is because it was so well done. Cloverworks did a really good job. I know I say that about all the shows. I'm like, the show was really well done, like Chainsaw Man. The only difference is that with those other shows, and I'm like, it was really well done, but there's no buts about the show. It was good. Like, I went into it because some music animes, I'm like, they're okay, like whatever. This one was just like the perfect mix of just like music and slice of life and comedy. It does such a good job of it. But if you don't know it, the synopsis of the show is BOCCHI, our main character, devotes a lot of her time to the guitar in middle school and pretty much wants to make friends and be in a band and perform live and all this stuff. But she has a massive social anxiety, right? She ends up making a YouTube channel. YouTube channel is a hit. She's Guitar Hero. But you wouldn't know that because she doesn't show her face, again, socially awkward, so nobody at school knows. But pretty much, she gets the idea, I'm going to bring my guitar to school and start conversations with my new high school classmates. It doesn't really work out. So on her way home, she ends up meeting a drummer for her band, Nijika, and she ends up joining the band. She meets the bassist, Ryu. They end up getting Kita back, who was originally their guitarist, but she didn't know how to play guitar, so BOCCHI teaches her how to play guitar. There's whole progression for the band, and honestly, I have no complaints about the show. It was a great... I think most of it was slice of life, honestly, and if a slice of life has really good progression of characters, the characters are hilarious, they blend well together, I have no complaints about the show. It was good. If you have not watched this one, like, I would highly recommend giving it a watch, even if you are just going to watch it like passively, like just the way it's animated, the way the characters interact. BOCCHI is hilarious. Like I said, I do not have any complaints about this show. It was good. In any event, what are your guys' thoughts? What were your favorite anime of fall 2022? Obviously, there's a lot of others not on my top 5 in the honorable mentions that I could put on here, but there's just so many shows. But let me know what you guys think. And just note that my next long form video is going to be the top 10 anime of 2022. There's a lot on this list. I have 5 honorable mentions right now. I've narrowed it down, I think, to what I want to have there. So that's going to be the next video here on the channel. Anyway, guys, if you like what you saw, be sure to drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and then turn that bell next to notifications so you don't miss out on any other videos here on the channel. If you didn't know, we stream 3 days a week, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Friday evenings over on ItsDaveTVGaming. That is my other YouTube channel. Again, that is mainly focused around gaming and tech content. So again, if you want to go subscribe to that channel, again, that link will be in the description. And lastly, join my Discord. That link will be in the description. Again, we're talking games, we're talking anime, we're talking tech. We got plenty of topics in there. So again, if you want to chime in, hop in, just hang out with the community, that link will be in the description. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. We'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.